Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline, and in the trying to trim the fat and make this a more streamlined version of the podcast, I had a massive list of stuff to go through, and it took about as long as it normally would, and I spoke real fast, so yeah. How much would you pay for a tiny coffee? Let's discuss. Going to the park, being the bigger man, pet saga, a busy weekend, and a test drive are all featured in this episode. We've also got lots of TV, lots of new games, and yeah, that's about it. No movie this week. Seems to be a theme, I'm afraid. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And share that podcast around. Come on, you know you want to. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello. How you doing? You good? I hope so. Because if you are, you're probably doing better than me right now. It is at least 1,000,000 degrees, which isn't true because that would be ridiculous, but it feels like it's true. I hope you're doing okay. Hope you're doing well. If you're not doing okay and you're not doing well, do reach out. We'll happily talk to you about anything that might be going on. And if you don't feel like you want to talk to us, which, I understand. There are friends, family, and obviously services out there available to talk to you. But I do genuinely hope you are doing well. I am very well. Because it's May and it's 33 degrees. Well, not now. It was 33 degrees. And apparently 3 minutes past 10 at night is a perfectly acceptable time to be kicking a football against a wall, just like it has been all day. So, it's been one of those weeks where when I go, I really need to sort of trim the fat on the podcast. I really need to get rid of all the stuff that when I start talking about it, I go, why am I talking about this? Nobody cares. I've really got to get rid of all of that. And then I make what is one of the longest lists I've seen in a good long while. So, the best thing I can think to do is to keep it short and sweet. Talk about it, move on. Go in for the jab and duck out for the slip the jab. You know what I mean. So let's get straight into it. Last Wednesday, me and my son, we were doing the father-son thing, and I wasn't feeling it. Not the father-son thing. I wasn't feeling the day. It was one of those where I knew I was tired. Wednesday's an early start. Got to get the early morning climbing. And it's one of those, there are a variety of different sort of things to take into account. I think I'd been up in the night, which seems to be a common occurrence these days. Probably something to do with my age. I was tired. Up early, climbing, dog walking, etc., etc., etc. By the time I'm like switching over to dad mode, I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what are we going to do? So I was like, right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the park, but we're not going to go to this park. We're going to go to a different park. And to make it so that it's like he gets to go to the park and enjoy the park, and so that I can sort of try and reclaim something from the situation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat myself to a cup of coffee. And the place that we went to go to the park, they've got a variety of different coffee establishments, and somehow I got everything ass about face, and I was convinced that one of the coffee places that I was prepared to go to was in the entrance. I was like, they're absolutely, as soon as you walk in, they're there. Because I was trying to avoid a different well-known coffee establishment, because I try not to go there anymore, because, you know, I had a little bit of a problem, I think it's referred to these days. So I was like, right, okay, not going there. I'll go to like this more independent-y type deal and get a coffee from there. So that wasn't happening, because apparently I deemed it that they'd moved everything. That's how I interpreted it. They'd moved everything to spite me. On the way in, we passed another well-known coffee establishment, and I was like, in a pinch, we can just nip in there. They'll do exactly what I need, a good strong coffee, and it'll be fine. So, having found that the smaller, more independent coffee place wasn't where I thought it was, I was like, look, for speed, to get the goodness that I need, let's just go there. So we went into a coffee shop. We walk in, and from the moment we walked through the door, not a great experience. Now, I will say this, that wasn't the establishment problem as such. There was a lady who was being served when I walked in, and wow. I can only presume her name was actually Karen, because holy fucking shit. And because the guy serving was dealing with this lady, I think he sort of carried that energy over to me, whilst also trying to be professional, which, you know, you kind of appreciate. And I was like, look, I just want a large caramel latte to take away. I'm going to get out your hair so you can not deal with any of this shit right now. He's like, sure. He puts it through the till. And he's like, that'll be £4.70, please. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I want to make all the jokes. I'm not buying everyone a coffee. I just want one for myself. And, oh, does it come in a gold plated cup? And, you know, all of those hilarious jokes. But instead, I was like, what the fuck? So, I'm like, look, this is not the time or the place to be giving it what the fucking hell is going on here. So I was like, I will just stump up the cost and I will just pay it if it means that me and my son can have a good day, and I get, because sometimes when I'm feeling tired and I feel like there's no hope, an extra cup of coffee changes everything. So that was my thought process. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to buy the coffee, and we're going to go out, and he's going to go to the park, and we're going to have a great time. So I paid it. And that was that. And then he was like, here you go. Here's your cup of coffee. Now then, years and years and years ago, I started frequenting this coffee shop a lot. I have probably single-handedly kept them in business. At various points in time, I would certainly say that I probably boosted them in the early days, because they gave me what I needed. They give you extra shots of coffee, they give you free ones, all this, that, and the other. I gave them, I would probably go as far as to say, you could be looking in the tens of thousands of pounds. That is not in the slightest a joke. I think on average I was spending about £250 a month there. At one point in time, that is not a joke. So, a lot of money over a lot of years. definitely single-handedly keeping them in business. As time went on, so the reason I went was they did a massive cup of coffee that had lots and lots of coffee in, and it was cheap, and you got free ones, and it was great. It was a great time. And then as time went on, the main one I used to go to, the service got fucking awful, and the coffee started being not that great. And then I started frequenting a different coffee shop, and that was that. And if I'm honest, I've never really been back. And when I have been back, I've been aware that their prices have been going up and their quality has been going down, and their service isn't brilliant. Their service is super hit and miss. So in the end, I just went with there really is no point in going. So the guy's like, here's your coffee. And I looked at it and was like, what the fuck is that? And this guy handed me what I can only describe as a small cup of coffee. When I used to buy the large coffee from this establishment, it was a big cup of coffee. A big cup. It was probably the biggest on the market, I would say. It was a big cup of coffee. You knew that you were drinking a big cup of coffee. This, I could hold in my hand, thumb to little finger. So I could put my thumb on the top of the cup and put the bottom of the cup inside my little finger. That's how big this cup was. This is a large cup of coffee for £4.70. I walked out, I was like, this right here is what's wrong with the fucking world. Because everything just gets more and more expensive. Everything gets smaller and smaller. And I will tell you this, it was a bang average cup of coffee. There was nothing special. So for a lot of money and a small amount, I got a average cup of coffee. There is nothing to make me go back for that drink. That is me done. I'll probably never go there again. And that, ladies and gents, is business. That's business nowadays. It's just the place was empty. I wonder why. The place was empty. There was like me, who was getting a takeaway, and two other people. And then, at some point in time, they'll be like, oh, we're closing a load of stores. Like, oh, I wonder fucking why. So, out we go to the park. I'm like, let's salvage the day. I'm going to drink this coffee. Me and my son are going to have a fantastic time. We've been having a great morning. We're going to have a fantastic time at the park. We do a couple of things in the park. I'm like, great. He's like, going down the slide. I'm like, cool. And then I went up to this other one, and I was like, right, just go down the slide. I'll meet you at the bottom. No. I'm like, just go down the slide. I'll meet you at the bottom. It's fine. It was a slightly bendy slide. A bit more of a tunnel. It had a top on it, etc. But nothing drastic. Go down the slide. I'll meet you at the bottom. No. So the shortest version of this story, for half an hour, this was the battle. It ended with me saying, if you don't go down the slide, we're going to go home. I'm going to delete all of your computer games. Because we'll get into some of the games in a bit. I'm going to delete all your computer games. You're not going to do any TV watching today. When your sister comes home, she'll be allowed to watch, you won't, and all of this. And I was like, if you step down off there, then we're going home. And as you can barely keep your eyes open while you're talking to me right now, you're also going to bed. So he made the decision and he stepped off the slide. I was like, let's go home. So here's my take on this one. If it had just pushed himself off the top of the slide, he'd have gone down the slide, he'd have fucking loved it, he'd have gone back up the slide. He'd have gone back down it. He'd have loved every minute of it. We'd have had a great time. We could have gone home. We could have done all sorts. We could have played computer games. We'd have had a wonderful time. But it was going to take a small leap. It was going to take pushing off the top of that slide, a little bit of like, oh, and then going, it was great. I loved it. But he couldn't do it. And I had this experience as a child. I remember it vividly. And I look back and I regret it. But I understand it. But I regret it. Because, as we all know, when you take that little bit of a plunge, when you do something that's a little bit scary, and then you enjoy it, it's all worthwhile. And you feel so much better for it. And I said to him, I was like, you are going to regret this decision. Now, I know some people out there would say, that's awful, that's terrible. What a horrible person you are. What a terrible parent you are. And I would say to you, you're wrong. And there are some people out there, and they would say, you made the right decision. That is good parenting. That sets good standards. You've got to push your boundaries, and you've got to go down that slide in life. You have to be able to go down the slide and reap the rewards and all of that. And I would say, you're wrong. Because I was right and wrong in that situation. I was a good parent and a bad parent in that situation. And I just needed to pick a lane and stick with it. And I went back to 1980s parenting. Oh, it never did me any harm. I mean, fucking didn't it? So now I will jump forward in time. Okay. He was fully prepared to take responsibility and say, I'm not going to go down the slide, and I'm prepared to go home, and I'm going to watch you delete all my games, and I'm not going to watch TV today, and I'm going to go to bed. He was fully prepared to do that. Past that point, though, wasn't prepared for any of the repercussions, wasn't prepared to accept anything. Oh, I'm going to play a different game. You're not going to play any fucking games. Oh, no, I'll just play one of your games. You're absolutely what? Oh, while she's watching that, can I watch? No, you're not watching TV today. Oh. Can I have some sweets? No, I'll put your sweets in the bin. You know, all of that. Let's fast forward in time. 24 hours. 24 hours later, text message. Your son is asking if he can have his games back. I'm like, no, he can't have his fucking games back. Okay, I could really do with him being able to sit in front of the TV because I'm working, so, there's that. I'm like, well, he's not doing any watching. Okay, this is going to be quite difficult. Yeah, it is, and I'm sorry, but, got to stick to your guns, haven't you? I saw my opportunity, I saw my chance, and I said, I'll tell you what, I'll cut him a deal. If you take him now to the park, put him on the slide, and tell him to go down it, and he does, I'll reinstate his games, his watching, especially his watching, because that means you can get on and work, and he can, watch stuff. And he can have everything back if he goes to do that. Leon's like, right, okay, I've put it to him, and he's absolutely 100% going down the slide. I was like, cool, done deal. About half an hour later, I get a message. I'm really glad we bothered coming here. I was like, exactly, you see? I was like, tell you what, tell him if he goes on the slide and you video it and send it to me, he can have everything back. So it was a little while later, but I did get a video of him going down the slide, and I was like, there you go. She was like, he absolutely fucking loved it. This is a video of him going down the slide for the 5th time. I was like, exactly. Because I told him at the time he would enjoy it. And there we go. So, a little bit vindicated on that one. He enjoyed it, as we all knew he would. So, fast forward. Let's jump forward in time to another day, a different day. I avoided an altercation. Yes, sir. Not going to lie, it was a big moment for me. It was a really big moment for me. It was so big that I was like mentally high-fiving myself as I walked away. You guys know I've been working, been working on myself, working on my anger, working on blah, 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 all of that. Ended up in a situation where somebody had said and done something at a point in time that I deemed to be super unnecessary. Hugely unnecessary. So unnecessary that I was like, nah, I'm not having that. That's fucking bullshit, is that? And I am fully prepared to challenge you on this. And then there was a voice. And this voice said, hang on a minute. Let's take a breath, shall we? And I went, whose voice is that? And this voice said, let's just take a minute. Let's take a breath. Let's think about this. Maybe there are multiple different reasons why this has happened. Maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe it's not a situation where you're like, this motherfucker, I'm about to put a beat down on this. Maybe there is a reason, and maybe the reason is so many possible reasons that you don't know that maybe starting something is not the answer, because it could turn out to be a valid reason, and you're then going to be the bad guy. Also, you are in a situation where you really don't want to be in an altercation right now, because you don't want to be branded as that guy. I was like, you know something? You're right. I don't want to be branded as that guy, because I would then be branded that guy for a very long time. And that's not going to work for me. Now, this is all happening in real time. I have stopped what I was doing. I've paused everything. And I'm having this internal debate, this internal battle of, I'm about to verbally fuck this person up. I am going to give them the tongue lashing from hell. Versus a new voice. And the new voice is going, let's take a minute. Firstly, take a fucking breath. Secondly, there could be 100 different reasons why this person has done this. And 99 of them could be valid. And you, if you knew those 99 reasons, could go, oh, actually, that's a really fair point, and, I'm sorry kind of situation. So let's jump forward in time to the point where you go, I'm just going to move on from this. And in the space of about 3 seconds, I went, I'm going to start walking. I'm going to walk away from this situation, because I believe that there is still a part of me that is desperately trying to, it's like a caged animal that's desperately trying to start something. And I was like, I think if I keep walking and put some distance between me and this situation, that's going to be a good thing. So let's do that. Let's walk away. So I walked away. And I started walking up the street. And by that point, it wasn't a thing anymore. And there was 30% of me was seething with anger. And 30% of me was like, you did the right thing to walk away. And then 30% of me was like, what the fuck just happened? And I know the maths doesn't work, so let's add 10% of me going, anyway, I've got stuff to do, I've got to get on with this, I ain't got time for this shit. There you go, now the maths works. When you're proud of yourself, because there's that part of you, there's the pride part of you, as Marcellus Wallace said, that's just pride fucking with you. Your pride is there, like, no, you should have absolutely fucked that person up, verbally. And I started as well. I went, and then I stopped myself, and I was the bigger person. I was a grown up, and I was like, no, let's not be that guy. especially that guy. Let's not get branded as that guy. And let's just presume there's a reason and walk away. And I mentally high-fived myself and I went about my day. And later in the day, I was proud of myself. And I was like, I think you did the right thing there. And I think you should be proud of yourself for doing that. Because it could have gone a completely different way. So well done you. High five. How are we doing? We're rattling through this. We're making good time. The pet saga continues. I'm not sure where we were on the pet saga, but I can confirm the vet has informed us that the lump that the cat has could possibly be the bad kind of lump, and he will for speed will just get on with the chopping it off. The lump, not the limb, or at least to start with. So, yep, cat is due to go for operation. Wait, I was going to say next week, but it's not next week. It's this week. I just realised that it's this week because it's a week later. Yep, cat is due to go for an operation. Obviously, as you can imagine, it's super cheap. Yep. At this point in time, I'm pretty sure I actually owned the vet at this point in time. The amount of money that they've had. I think I've actually bought the vet in the last, I would say, 3 months. They've had... I could have built my own vet at this point in time with the amount of money they've had out of us. I could have built brick by brick. I could have built a vet. But it's okay, because once he's had the operation, he'll need multiple checkups afterwards. And I'm sure, as you're absolutely aware, those checkups are definitely going to be free. They're absolutely not. The other one, he's turned into a proper dick. Put a hole in one of my favourite t-shirts today. I'm like, you, my friend, are a dick. But yes, still a poorly boy. Keep looking at the dog like, don't even fucking think about it, mate. Bank holiday today. So this was bank holiday weekend. It's hands down gotta be one of the hottest bank holiday weekends, probably in history of the May version, because who knew that May could be 33 degrees? Fuck off. You know, last year was the first year that I was cold, and I was like, oh, I'm quite looking forward to summer at this point, because I'll get the opportunity to see what it's like to experience like that, the warm weather that everybody raves about. You know, all the lizard people go on about how great it is. As somebody who now experiences the cold, and as I'm now experiencing the warm, I can say, yeah, the lizard people, you need to seriously have a word with yourself and work out what's wrong with you. Because there's something wrong with you. If this is your idea of a good time, there's something wrong with you. You need to sort yourself out. You need to question yourself as to why you think this is good. I get it being, too cold. Too cold's not good. I get that much. I understand that much now as I experience it. This isn't the answer. Spoilers. Anyway, bank holiday weekend, and I decide, do you know what? The best way to celebrate a bank holiday weekend is to try and cram as much stuff in as possible. So, I worked Saturday and Sunday morning. So that was a great way. Start that at 6 in the morning, yeah? Follow that by climbing, a trip to Selby, which featured me driving around Selby for half an hour going, I don't know where the fuck I am. And I don't know where the fuck I'm supposed to go. And apparently, not one, but two sat-navs couldn't help me either. The first one's like, you have arrived at your destination. I was like, I bloody well haven't. So I switched over to a different sat-nav, and that was like, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'll get you there. You've arrived at your destination. No, I fucking haven't. So that was fun. That was Saturday. Sunday, up, work. Yes, lovely stuff. Followed by son to football. Followed by me and my son chilling out and playing computer games for a short amount of time. Followed by a hour-long drive over to Harrogate, which I'll cover in a minute, to drive back to go and see podcast alum Paul Williams to drop off his birthday present, to come home, and at a point in time getting home going, well, that's Sunday, done and dusted, let's do Monday, no work. But you got to get up as if you're going to work, because you still need to get everything done, so that everyone, 50% of the household can go and climb, and the other 50% can hang around and hurry up and wait for them to finish climbing so that you can go for a drink and a cake, at which point half of the people who are going climbing are like, yeah, I don't want to go climbing, I want to stay home and playing computer games. Okay then. So, two kids at home playing computer games. Again, I'll get onto which games in a bit. And then over to climbing. Drinks, cakes, see random people. People who turn up at the table like, hey, how you doing? It's like, holy shit, what the fuck are you doing here? Kind of situation. Home to then start with the workout treadmill. Holy shit balls, I have done nowhere near enough according to the watch. So I guess I'm getting out for a 33-degree walk, yeah? To get home to realise it's still not enough and have to do a load of other stuff. To then fast forward to 10:30 at night, where apparently it's time to record a podcast. It's all right though, guys. Good news. It's into the office for me tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. It's all right. I'm volunteering for 3 hours out in the 29-degree heat. Hey, look at it this way. At least I haven't got a massive amount of driving to do at this point. At some point this week. Speaking of driving, see that little segue. I went to test drive a car yesterday. No names, obviously, but let's put it this way. Think of an electric car. Think of the most popular one, and that's the one I went to test drive. I drove to Harrogate to do this test drive. It was a great time. Fantastic time. I took a child with me. I was like, hey, you like cars, let's go test drive a super cool car. And off we go. We get there 25 minutes early and find that it's not Harrogate, it's Rudding Park Golf Course and Resort, I guess. We pull in and I go, we are not the people to be here. I said to my daughter, I was like, don't worry, I don't mean you, I mean me. I am not the kind of people that should be wandering around here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go away and we're going to come back in a bit, which we did. We went off to find a supermarket and a toilet. We return at our time. And it's all modern these days. There's nobody there to have a conversation with. You do it all through the app. You've got to have an app, people. Do it through the app. Which we did. And it activated at our time. And I was like, cool. And I pressed the button and got in the car. I was like, yes, we are off to fly. Oh, wait, I'll just unplug the car because it's electric. It needs unplugging. And the car was like, nah, not going to do that. I was like, oh, am I doing something wrong? And I look on the app and I look on the car and I press all the buttons and I press the button on the charging cable and it's like, nah. And it's like, there's a charging error. The car is not charging. Like, okay, well, if it's not charging, then it doesn't need to be plugged in. So let's unplug it, shall we? And it was like, yeah, go on then, give it a go. I was like, cool. Can't get the cable out. So I said to the people who were there next to me, I was like, do you know how to get this cable out? Because I can't. They were like, you just pull it out. It just pulls out. Like, it fucking doesn't. Oh, press the button. Yeah, I've already pressed the button. It doesn't work. I don't know. You might have to ring them. Cool. So I phoned through to the number, and it's like, press 1 for this and press 1 for that. And do you own a car? I'm like, I don't own a car, but let's pretend like I do. And they were like, say what your problem is. I was like, charging cable. They're like, is the problem the charging cable? Yes. I didn't quite catch that. Yes. You said the problem was the charging cable. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be fun. So after 19 different ones of those, is it this, is it that? I was like, the cable will not disconnect. So they told me a very interesting way to disconnect the cable. I went, that will never work. I tried it and it worked. 20 minutes this took. I'm like, cool. We got in the car. I was like, right, here we go. And away we go. And we drive up the drive. Now then, something to note. In these cars, you don't use the brakes. The brakes are not to be used. The brakes are to be used in emergencies. If you are used to driving a car that uses brakes, you're probably going to press the brakes at some point. For example, when you try and pull out of Rudding Park Golf Course. You get to the end and you go, oh shit, I need to brake. So you press the brakes. Brakes are for emergencies, people. And we found this out the hard way because we went into emergency stop mode, which involved us nearly slamming into the dashboard and steering wheel, etc. And me going, oh, yeah, I forgot. Don't press the brakes. I used the brakes 3 other times whilst driving. And away we went, and we have a jolly good drive around, up and down through the hills and the dales, and around sort of Rudding Park and the surrounding area. Some interesting experiences. It's a very flash machine. Super. It's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of technology on it, so it's a lot of fun because of that. It drove well. It wasn't the super whiz bang version. It was like probably the lowest version you could get, I suppose. And we drove around, and it was great. It did some funky things, put it in drive, put it in reverse, park it, this sort of stuff. I showed my daughter the AI feature that I was like, if we owned one of these, we would never use this, but we don't own this car, so here, check this out. And I'd seen a thing on a video where if you test drive them, you can tell it that you're test driving, and to set a route to show the. So I did all of that. I was like, hey, we're test driving this car, and I'd like you to set me a route that takes us all the way back to where we started, but show me what the car can do. And it did. And it was like, oh, do you want to add any stops? I was like, yeah, maybe we'd like to get a drink. Oh, where do you want to get a drink from? I was like, where's good? So it gave me like the top rated places in the area. I picked the 3rd one on the list, and away we went. And it was a very enjoyable time. And we got back and we parked up and we ended our drive. And we came home. And I relayed all of this information to Leanne. And the end of the conversation was a lot along the lines of, well, I guess that's that then. I was like, yeah, pretty much, because the day before the test drive, I had a phone call from them, and they were like, hey, you've got a test drive booked. I was like, yes, I have. And they were like, cool. They were like, oh, what you're looking for, what you're looking to get into. I was like, well, I'm looking for this, that, and the other. These are my options, but this might be leaning a bit more this way than that way. They were like, fantastic. They were like, when were you looking to do it? I was like, as soon as possible. They were like, yeah, that's not happening. I was like, oh, that's interesting, because you've got an offer on, and the offer runs until like the end of June. Oh, yeah. That offer only goes until the end of June. I was like, okay. So what's the problem? They were like, the earliest we can get you a car is September. I was like, well, that's no fucking good to me. I need a car now. They were like, oh, yeah, no, we can't do that. I was like, that was the end of that story, because no good to me. Where are we? Like, what? 4 months away? Like, no good to me. I need a car now. So I was kind of the end of that one. Yeah, fun experience all in all. Couple of things, like I say, not being able to unplug the cable for 20 minutes was a massive concern from the very beginning, where you're like, what if I was trying to go to work right now? Oh yeah, you can't go to work, can't plug the car. Imagine ringing work and be like, I'm going to be late. Oh, why are you going to be late? Can't unplug my car. Oh, yep. So, there's that. And there was a couple of things like inside the car that I was looking at, and I was like, I don't like the look of that. And I will just say this, and you can take from this what you will. Bearing in mind it was all self-service, which I didn't have any issue with. I didn't want to deal with a salesperson. I didn't really have a problem with it. We get in the car, and the car's not clean. Often these cars aren't. That's not a massive problem. But the front and back windscreen, not clean. I was like, okay, well, we'll just give them a wash, and away we go. And there was no windscreen wash in the car. Couldn't clean the windows. I was like, that tells me that this car isn't being like monitored in that way, which again seems weird. But yeah, there was a couple of things that I wasn't super keen on. One of them being is that they couldn't get me a car anytime soon. So I was like, well, that's the end of that, isn't it? A final subject that's not been up at the top of the list kind of subject recently, but it is still a thing. Me and Leanne have been having a little competition this week. A little weight loss competition. Simple, standard. Person who loses the most weight wins. She won. There you go. There's the answer. No, she won because she lost the most weight. But I was like, I'm winning this fucking thing. And I know exactly how to do it. Because, as I said a couple of weeks ago, some of the weight stuff's got a little loosey-goosey, an extra protein bar here and an extra vegetable crisp there, and a couple of things that you shouldn't really, but you're like, it'll be all right, it'll be fine, and then you step on the scales and you realise it's not fine, and then it's all right, I'm fasting tomorrow, so I'll be fine, and that sort of stuff. And over the course of a week, you're like, didn't lose anyway, and then there's a week where you're like, oh, I technically put weight on this week, and that sort of stuff. Do that for a few months, and after a while, you're like, ugh. So it was perfect. We're both looking to sort of kickstart back on the super strict way of doing things, and away we go. And each day she's like, I lost this much weight, and I lost that much weight, and I'm like, cool, I put weight on. So I was super dialed in. I was on point, and after an entire week with 2 days fasting and everything, I lost 1.6 pounds. And as I said, I could have just done what I was doing before this week and lost that much weight. So what was the fucking point? And yeah, just weird and annoying. Like, when you like lock in and you dial in and you're like, today's the day, or this week's the week, or whatever, and then you get nothing back, and you're like, what a massive waste of time that was. So yeah, not happy at all. So no movie this week. There seems to be in a bit of a movie drought at the moment. If I'm honest, I could be honest with you. If I'm honest, I can't dedicate an hour and a half of my time. I can't dedicate 2 hours of my time. I just don't have that time at the moment. The thought of giving an hour and a half to a movie, I'm like, oh, I just can't. Me and Leanne are watching 20-minute episodes, and that's enough for me. We watched 2 episodes. I'm done. I'm ready to move on to do other things. So, speaking of 20-minute episodes, Devil May Cry Season 2, Episode 2, up to 7, which is the second to last episode of Series 2. I watched those over the course of last week. Season 2, absolutely what you would expect from a Season 2, where you go, yeah, you didn't have a fucking clue what you were doing. I think it was like, I thought it was the first 3 episodes, but it wasn't. It was the first 2 episodes. It was like, oh, it's Devil May Cry. Let's not have Dante in it, yeah? So there's that. Virgil's a much bigger character in this series, but, you know, as we've always known, Virgil's a dick. So there's that. And really, it took until episode 7, which I watched today, for me to go, yeah, this episode's good. Up to that point, I was like, you have severely missed the mark with this series. Not good. Not that it's not good. It was just not super enjoyable. It's real Series 2 vibes. I'll tell you this much: when they've got Dante doing Dante shit, it's proper on point. It really is bang on point. All the rest of the time, you're like, this just isn't it. This isn't working. Yeah, a lot of disjointed, a lot of time jumping around. Oh, here's why this person is the way they are. This is how it was 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I don't know if I care. So, a little disappointed with the series. There is an episode left. And I'm hopeful that it'll carry on from sort of the sort of speed of episode 7. But we'll see. I imagine there's probably a 3rd series planned, 3rd series in the works. Maybe if that's the case, we might start to see a bit more oomph, maybe. But yeah, there needs to be more Dante doing Dante shit, I think. Speaking of episodes that I may or may not have missed, one of the children was on Disney, and I saw a banner on a continue watching, and it was new episode banner on Mole. Lane corrected me on my pronunciation of Mole. And I was like, are there more episodes of that? And I thought I'd finished it, and I hadn't, because I said at the time, I was like, it ended in a super weird way. Turns out not only 1, but 2 episodes that I'd missed. Episode 9 and 10. And as I'm sure you can imagine, episode 9 and 10, hands down the best episodes of the series. At the end of episode 9, Darth Vader turns up, and you go, oh shit, son. And from that point on, it was fucking awesome. Episode 10 was just mwah, chef's kiss. Absolute perfection. Honestly, I know I've seen the reviews. The reviews are like, this is the hands down the best Star Wars thing in years. It is categorically the best Star Wars thing they've released in a long time. Especially seeing as the Mando movie has come out to underwhelming reviews. I think it was sitting at like a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe. And people are like, that is exactly what we expected. So, well done there on that one, Disney. Dropped another bollock there. But Maul, great series, really well done. The art style's super cool. And for them to get the brass balls to put Darth Vader in it at the back end. And this is probably one of those where you're like, interesting choice. He didn't speak. And I was like, yeah, nice one. Well done. A good choice, especially if you look at like what they did with Devil May Cry Series 2. It just goes to show you can have a character that doesn't need to talk and still be menacing as fuck. He turned up like that proper fucking badass Darth Vader. That one. You know, that Darth Vader. Chef's kiss. Very much looking forward to seeing if there's, what should I say, when a Series 2 emerges for that, because I imagine that's going to be very good. Let's talk some computer games, and computer games are plenty. We are talking Forza Horizon 6. Yes, indeed. Me and Leanne cut a bit of a deal where we kind of went halvesies on a couple of games because there were 2 games in 2 days. For the Forza games are an absolute must for me. But we did the other game can be for the whole family, and we'll go halves kind of thing. So let's talk Forza Horizon 6. I'm absolutely not missing a Forza Horizon game. There is no way. Unfortunately, that involves paying through the nose these days. I could have done Game Pass, but quite frankly, fuck Game Pass. So Forza Horizon 6. Well, somebody said to me that they'd heard a review, and the review was that it's not as good as The Crew Motorfest. And my response to that was, I can see what they mean. The second day I played Horizon 6, I got a message that said, here's an award for previous Horizon games that you've played. And I got an award for all the previous Horizon games because I've played them all. So I got a car for each. I got some really cool, funky cars. I got the Aston Martin, the Vulcan, is it? Super cool, super fast car. And the thing is, I own one of those in The Crew Motorfest. It's my daily driver, some would say. So I was a bit like, oh, okay, I've got one of these. Somebody said Horizon 6 is not as good as The Crew. And I said, do you know something? I can kind of see what they mean. This is the first, that's a lie. This is the second Forza Horizon game that I have bought or played, let's say, where I've gone, oh, this is a real step back for the series. Now, everything that they said that was going to be great about this one, the fact that it's set in Japan, love it. The fact that it's going to be a lot sort of like street car racing and those sort of old school, like your Supras and your Subarus and your Mitsubishi Evos and all those sorts of cars. Those are going to be a real sort of centerpiece of this version of the game, and I was all for it. I've got to get this out. This is the one thing that I've been thinking about the entire time I've been playing it. It's the first driving game I've played in what must be 10 years that doesn't have a boost. There's no boost. And it's so weird. It's so weird. Also, you've got these huge sort of set pieces. So you've got the Horizon races, like the big festival races. And you go, cool. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but this has been widely advertised. One of the races, you race a mech. So think about that. And it's awesome. It's so cool. But these races are scripted. So the robot's in a certain place at a certain time so that you can see that it destroys a certain building. But that also means that you're in a certain place at a certain time. So your racing ability is not. It has nothing to do with the outcome of this race. You are just essentially a passenger. Also, it has things like, I'm going to set a route for you to travel that's 7 miles away, and you're like, I don't want to drive 7 fucking miles. It's got an auto drive feature, and you turn it on, and the car drives itself to the destination, and you go, so what? Now I'm just sitting and watching this car drive along. And you try and work out which is the most fun, driving there yourself or watching the car drive there for you. And you go, I honestly don't know. And then you've got that kind of, you're asking yourself a lot of the time, like, is this fun? You're driving around and you're doing stuff and you're picking up stuff and you're buying cars and you're picking up cars and you're getting free cars and you're doing this, that and the other. And the whole time you're like, is this fun? Am I enjoying this? I experienced this with 5. With 5, I did the main missions for 5 and nothing else. I played the story from start to finish, and when I finished it, I went, that game is done. And I walked away from it. I did nothing else. Nothing outside of that. I am already finding that that's what I'm doing with this one. Couple of issues I've had from a technical standpoint is my old PC is struggling with certain games, so it's making it difficult to play those games. It's getting a bit laggy, getting a bit stuttery. It's causing a real problem. So for like a driving game, not fun. So yeah, a lot of it is fun, a lot of it is enjoyable, a lot of it is nice, but it feels like it's missing something. A boost, maybe. So weird not having a boost. So weird. Oh, it's weird. Oh, it's real weird. As I said, 2 new games in a week. So, and part of the conversation I had with Leon was where I said, hey, I've found that we can get this game in a deluxe version, which gives us a load of free stuff. And the deluxe version allows us to get it 3 days early, and it's cheaper than the standard version. And she was like, well, that's no brainer. Let's do it. And I was like, I am with you. So we bought for the family, wink, wink, Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. It was released 3 days early because we've got the deluxe version for cheaper than the standard version. Worked that one out. And it unlocked the day we bought it, I think. Bought it, got it downloaded, and away we go. Now, I will caveat a few things at this point in time. Number 1, although I play them, I do not get on with Lego games. I find that they are unnecessarily difficult. Super unnecessarily difficult. They drive me up the fucking wall. I get so annoyed by them because they are so dumb in how over complex they are. And I don't like the silly nature. I don't like the, oh, it's for kids, when, you know, it full well it isn't. All of the stuff that makes the game silly, I'm not a fan of. So we're off to a bad start. However, just before release, they announced that this game was actually made in conjunction with the people that made the Arkham games, and it was getting some really good reviews. So I was very hopeful. So what do we think? Well, I can tell you this much. The, hey, it's a Lego game, let's make it stupid stuff, is no less annoying in this than it is in any other Lego game. It's just an annoyance. But it's for kids. Yay. On the flip side, this Lego game plays like no other Lego game I've ever played. The puzzles, the building things, the how do you get from here to there, how do you do this, how do you do that, is so much better than any other Lego game I've ever played. It's so well done, you're like, well, somebody learned their lesson, didn't they? Not gonna lie, it's great. It's really good game and really enjoying it. The progression's been really good. Like, you can't glide at the start, but you unlock a glider and then you can. You get multitude of different vehicles that you can sort of chop and change between, different costumes you can chop and change between, different characters which you can change as and when you need to. A lot of fun. What is fun is that I can play it with the kids, and like with my daughter, she just needs a little bit of sort of explanation, a little bit of, oh, just do this or press that button or go there, and she can do it. My son can do it, but needs a lot more help. But I think that's just him and games anyway. So 2 thumbs way up on the Batman game. Like I say, the old PC is starting to struggle with these sorts of games. So real laggy on the old PC, but it runs fine on the new PC. So I have started thinking that I might have to do a little switcheroo on the PC front. VR. I have played and finished Into the Radius 2. I have finished the story from start to finish. I'm going to get this out on Front Street straight away. They have got to put some more direction into that game. I only managed to finish it and get through the back end of that game by using video walkthroughs because I had no clue what I was doing at certain points. Some of it was me just being a numpty. Another, it was like, how the fuck would you expect us to work that out? They need to put some more direction in it. On the other hand, it finishes very much the way the first one does. If you played the first one, you'll already know what I mean. And if you haven't, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it ends very much the way the first one ends. Very simple. Up to that point, it was a lot of fun. It just needs a little bit more direction, a little bit more help with, when you get here, press this button. When you do this, do this. When you go there, try this or something. By the back end, I had too many weapons, not enough time. So you guys know me. I finished that game. So I immediately started it again, put a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge mod on it, which allows for starting with the top security level and loads of money. And I'm going to do I think people refer to it as like a God mode playthrough, where I'll just run through it and sort of absorb it a bit more this time round. But I've put 230 hours into that game, and to say that I'm prepared to go into it again and play it again, I think probably says quite a lot. So there you go. Into the Radius 2, finished. Story, finished, done and dusted. Speaking of things that are done and dusted, this podcast is done. Thank you very much for joining me, watching, listening and being here. And I will catch you next time. So there you go. What do you think to that? Jam-packed episode, I think you'll agree. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Before you leave us, do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review. We can leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. That way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye. And I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to this episode of CookieCast.